We've got Donegal footballer Eamon McGee on the line. Eamon, good morning to you. How are you?
Morning, Buzz. How's the form?
No stranger to the dark arts on the football field. that wasn't intentional.
Ger. I'm a different man now that I've retired now.
Yeah, you're a man at peace with your place in the world. And your place in the world, so one of the things that we wanted to talk about was there's been a sense that maybe there's going to be a small turnout from the male proportion of the population for the referendum this week, and it's one of those things that in the build-up to referendums, broadcasters aren't obviously allowed to express an opinion on the actual referendum itself, but we are allowed to express opinions on whether or not people should get out and exercise their vote. And we firmly believe as a show that everybody has a responsibility to go out and actually take part in this massive moment for Irish history and Irish democracy. As somebody who has kind of come out and been advocating on the yes side here, what's the response been like that you've had when you've actually gone out and spoken to your former teammates and your mates and just generally people you know?
Well, the former teammates, he says, oh no, he's going off on one again here. But no, listen, generally the response has been positive. You know, you have to remember Donegal is a very conservative county, and you know, there is a base of voters there that'll be no, it doesn't matter what you say to them. But, you know, there would have been a lot in the mail, definitely. There would have been a lot of undecided, maybe, I don't know. There's kind of two different sides telling me different stories. And it's just about getting the right information to them. And once you do get that information to them, they generally favoured the repeal. So it's just, there was a lot of kind of, I don't know, maybe, and it's just getting the information out to them.
Yeah, just there's a tweet, we have one of your tweets up on screen from 8 days ago saying, sat down with two don't knows over coffee this morning. In contrast to last night's debate, it was a conversation. Questions were asked, both tough and easy. Facts presented, women's stories recounted. 2 yes voters for next week. Looking forward to many more before the 25th. That seems to have been the experience of a lot of people, actually sitting down and teasing out the issue in a relatively rational way has led to a little bit of light and illumination around a topic that there hasn't been that much of so far in the debate.
Exactly, and you know, when you take out the emotive language, you know, someone calls you baby killer or someone says there's misogyny and all that, you take out all that there and you just present the facts. And you know, that I was so frustrated at the debate the previous night, and I was thinking, you know, this is just, the message has been lost here. And I kind of made an effort just to insert myself into the conversation, and I said, so what are you doing for next week? And we got the conversation going, and you know, I just said, well, what about this scenario and what about this situation? And there were some actual facts that they didn't even know about it, and they were confused. And once they cleared that up, they were saying, well, actually, I'm a yes there now, and that was my good deed done for the day then.
What were people confused about as a matter of interest?
Well, the disability thing was a big one, and the 12-week, unrestricted 12-week thing. Why they don't understand why was it given unrestricted 12-week, and then you go and explain to them and you say that, you know, people have tried legislating for, you know, the hard cases, as I say, and they don't understand that it cannot be legislated for, and because of the abortion pills are available in Ireland, that it's going to happen. So this is the best we've come up with is the 12-week. You have to remember the Citizens' Assembly went a step further, and politicians were wanting to say they want to stand away from it, and then they says we'll go with the artists and see what they can come up with, and they then come up with unrestricted abortion for 12 weeks, and there is logic behind it. And once you explain that logic, you know that people say, well, you know, that there's a point there, and you're right there, and that you clear that confusion up.
Andy, why did you make the decision to go public and call for a yes vote?
I stood with, you know, as part of the campaign for Men for Yes, and it wasn't a decision I took lightly, you know. I just had a daughter, as you know, I've said it in here many times, I just had a daughter myself, and I don't like the idea of abortion, and I don't think there's a woman out there who wants to go out and have an abortion. That's what people don't understand. It's not like they're running out of their minds going like to go get this. It's a horrible, traumatic thing for anyone to go through, but they should be able to have the choice. It's just about choice for me, you know. Like, it's not for me to say what somebody else does and doesn't do. What my personal beliefs are, their mind, and the same for everybody. So people should be able to have the choice. I think women should be able to have the choice, and men with the women, you know, to help together. And to me, that's what it boiled down to. You get one shot at life, and if something terrible happens to you, like in the case of rape or fatal fetal abnormality or anything like that, you should be able to have the choice. And a woman should be able to have the choice. And I trust the women of Ireland that this is not going to become a form of contraceptive, that they're going to be responsible as they are, and be responsible with it, you know. And that's what I believe. That's what I think. So I just think it's about choice. Let people make their own minds up when it comes to it, but be able to do it at home in a safe environment, and not that like it's traumatic enough, but having to go kind of on the cloud of shame to England, and it's all secret, and it's all, you know, it's dangerous, and especially with the abortion pills, and you don't know what you're getting. It's 2018 now. Let's get up to speed with the rest of the world, and let's trust our women and give them a choice when it comes to, when it'll be a difficult decision. It'll be, you know, a life-changing decision. But let them make it. Let everyone make their own choice. That's the bottom line for me.
What's your view been of the conversation around this debate in terms of what you've seen on social media, in terms of some of the television debates, in terms of some of the conversations you've had on the street? As
Eamon was saying, the language that's being thrown around, it's clouding the issue, and it's, for me, in a way, it's become kind of an identity thing as well. Like, and this is probably just my own little perspective. It's like, if you're on the yes side, you're like the hipster, you're the artist, you're the liberal, or. But it's not. That's all clouding, and people that'll turn a lot of people off as well. You know, like, and if you're on the no side, you're kind of, you know, you're backwards, and you're stuck in the old ways, and you know, I just think it's all clouding the issue, and it's what it comes down to is trusting women and giving them the opportunity to make their own decision, and that's it, you know. And
so you made the decision that you believed in voting yes. What about the decision to go public then and to lend your support? Because it really, there wasn't up until this week, actually. There's been a slew of people coming out this week, and it's great that they have felt comfortable coming out, but it's not always that easy for people to decide that they're going to decide to go public. What was that decision?
It was just, I got asked, a good friend of mine, her sister works in the campaign, and they were desperate for people. You know, they were desperate for people, or men especially, I guess, because the side, I think they may have the woman vote, but the male vote that's the demographic they want to reach. And as a sports person, I'm not a role model, but maybe as a role model for some people, I just wanted to say, look, if I can make a difference, and it's my decision to do that, and it's my decision to vote yes, but it's anyone else's decision to do what they want and how they feel. But yeah, you do get a lot, as Eamon says, you get a lot of stick, but it was all online stuff, you know. No one said nothing to me personally, and I don't think they would, but just online, I just breeze that off.
Yeah.
Like, you've obviously been based in kind of the setting up here quite a bit when it comes to this conversation, but I'd be interested to get Eamon's take, just in terms of, I know you've talked about like sitting down with people and having frank conversations with them, but just in terms of actually broaching the topic, in terms of bringing it up, maybe even like with family members and stuff like that, because that can be quite an awkward thing. I mean, has that been, you've mentioned it's quite a conservative county, Donegal, has that been an awkward conversation to broach in parts of your county and in parts of that area of Ireland?
It definitely has, you know. I think there was one stage where I had the yes badge on, and I knew the house I was going into was fairly conservative, and you know, there were religious viewpoints, and I forgot to take it. I was going to take it off. My initial thing was to take it off, and I forgot to take it off, and you know, I landed in the house, and I was kind of putting the hand up over the chest to hide the badge, and you know, there's strong feelings on it, and as Andy was saying, like, you don't necessarily have to be a hardcore conservative to have strong feelings, and a few of the lads in the club, and I would hope that the majority of them are voting yes, but there's been a few lads with strong feelings, and they've texted and says, why you get involved in that campaign? Do you not realise what it's about? And you know, there has been definitely a wee response to that.
And are those conversations, do they get easier as the weeks have gone on, or are they actually becoming more entrenched?
I think as the, you know, the staunch Novos are just becoming entrenched, they're not going to move, and you know, they're realising the pressure's building, and they're realising that, you know, we have to press the button here and try to get more no votes, because, you know, it's kind of, the odds are 9-2 for a no vote, and they realise that a yes vote is highly probable and hopeful for me, but it's, the pressure's coming on, and, you know, they're reacting, they're sending texts, they're starting conversations, and sometimes it can get a bit heated now.
We were always obviously a yes voter all the way back. At what point, what was your decision making? What was your process in deciding to vote yes and then to go public?
Well, listen, I wasn't always a yes voter. I would have been like, I watched an abortion video in religion class when I was in third year I think it was, and, you know, I parked that version of, that was abortion to me, and it was bad. Religion teacher says, listen, anybody who does this is a bad person. And for years, I kept that idea in my head. And, you know, when I read about abortion, and I had negative connotations about women that had abortions, and then when you go out in the big bad world, you realise that life isn't black and white. You know, there's different scenarios, different situations where women find themselves in, and like Andy says, then you realise that the women have to have a choice, and eventually then you talk to women that have had abortions, and you think, right, they're not bad people, and you realise that, you know, it was an evolution, and I came to the spot where I was paying attention to the Citizens' Assembly and the Oireachtas on the 8th committee, and on the 8th Amendment, sorry, and, you know, you come to a position where you feel there has to be a repeal here. We can't have situations like that have been happening down through the years. And, you know, I was sending out a few tweets that say repeal date or something like that there, and obviously someone from the Donegal for Yes campaign got a hold of it and asked me, and I says, yeah, no bother. And, you know, there was an initial, do I want to really become, you know, the high profile figure on this Donegal thing, because it is so emotive, and because I know friends that are very, very anti-abortion, but, you know, they were looking for a young male, and they wanted someone to go to the male vote, and this is, listen, this will help get the yes vote. And I says, well, listen, if it helps get the yes vote, then that's fair enough. You know?
A couple of points. You can obviously be against the idea of abortion and still believe that repealing the 8th is the best course of action for Irish society and for Irish life, and that maybe is one of the other nuances of the argument that has been difficult to make in the face of a lot of the noise that's been coming out. The other thing is that this is actually the second campaign that you've been involved in, because obviously you were involved with the Yes for Marriage Equality a couple of years back as well.
Yeah.
Is being involved in politics in that kind of small p sense something that appeals to you, or something that you just feel, you know, as somebody with a profile as an All-Ireland winner in Donegal, that you kind of have a responsibility to be involved in?
No, I don't see it as having a responsibility. You know, I just feel strongly in certain social issues, and, you know, I just lended my voice to the marriage referendum, and I've lended my voice to the repeal of the 8th movement, and it's, I don't want anybody to vote in a certain way because Eamon McGee's voting, and I think Andy touched on it there too, that nobody should vote whatever way we're voting. But we've just lended our voice to it, and that's the way the society is at the minute, that, you know, we don't necessarily listen to experts or medical experts or anything. We listen to, you know, high profile figures, and that carries, and that's unfortunate. I think that, you know, Rona O'Mahony's out there and she's calling for a yes vote, and, you know, maybe some people in Donegal listen to Eamon McGee, and I don't think, I think that's unfortunate.
Yeah. I mean, the Colin Kaepernick situation obviously is something that we've spoken about a good bit on the show. It does feel like athletes are waking up to the notion that they can be socially engaged, as opposed to just living in the sports bubble all the time.
Yeah, and I think if it is something that you strongly believe in, then it's not your right, but yeah, you can voice your opinion. I do believe it's a dangerous realm, because there are experts in fields, and as Eamon said, they may not get listened to, you know. at times when it's somebody with a high profile and they're guiding, you know, who's not as educated in a certain topic. But as you said, yeah, you don't have to agree with abortion to vote yes. You just have to say it might be the right thing to do, and that's probably how I feel. And I can understand why people would vote no. I can totally agree with that, and I understand that. But it's my decision. Everyone has to make their own decisions. I just, for the country's sake, I hope it's a yes vote. I hope, you know, I hope we wake up on when they're 26, 27, and it is a yes, you know, because I'd hate to see. I'd hate to think this is a country that. We're like, women want this. The majority of women want this, and I'd hate for them to be left behind and feel not taken care of by their country and by their fellow citizens.
And that's why it is an issue for men. That actually, it's really important.
It is. It's a responsibility. Yeah. Talk to your mother. Talk to your wife. Talk to your sister. See how they feel, and then make your own mind up. I think, isn't it? And think about it yourself. All men must think about it themselves and consider. And like I said, like you said. You don't have to agree with abortion to be a yes voter, and that would be my point of view.
All right, Eamon, thanks very much for joining us this morning. Great to have you on the show always, and we'll talk football next time, I promise.
Hopefully.